I was
no,
ask
I'm just here to you know, offer some guidance, you know, to answer questions. I don't really, I'm just coming in, so I think I missed half of the show already, so I'm not sure what the opinion is. I think the last part I heard was someone said that they don't really mess with the zodiac as far as it's a Miss Cleo science, but it's very exact. You can tell if you're going to be beefing with your boss. You can tell when you're going to fall out with a lover or your mother. It is very exact if the person that you're dealing with knows what they're doing.
I'm not going to debate all that because, I mean, we're not going to agree on that. But, however, I do want to
I'm not here to sway
anyone.
I'm definitely not here to sway
No, I understand
anyone.
that. I'm here to ask you a question, though. Because I always hear this. I just want to hear because maybe you can give me understanding. I always hear this all the time. I hear for years, but I never really did an honest to it. But what's this all the time? I always hear when we say, well, we're in the age of Aquarius. What is that supposed to mean?
Basically, to me, we're knocking on the door of the Aquarian age. And basically that is where we are moving forward, or depending on which way you're looking at it, we're moving out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, and that has to do with the constellations. But technically, we're still at the end.
Hold on. Original author, to get it into our language, is dealing with the 25,000-year cycle.
No, I know that. That's what she was going to say. I understand that. I just want to make sure. How long does the age last, sister?
Just like you said, the 25,000 years. But, I mean, it just depends on, you know, that depends on how you look at it and what type of astrology that you're dealing with. Me, myself, I deal with what I call ancestral astrology, where me personally, I don't trust the white man because he don't give you everything. He don't give you the whole game. So to me, coming into this, I take what they give in a book, but I take it to my ancestors and say, okay, I need you to tell me what's right, what's wrong, show me where I need to go. And it's taken me in a whole nother direction. So I don't subscribe to a whole lot of what mainstream astrology talks about. Because the plan is not to keep us, you know, on a correct time grid. You know, it's always to throw us off.
Let me ask you this, like, from my understanding, all this astrology that we dealing with in this disposition of time is the white man's astrology. Because my understanding is he who looked at the stars and said, well, this is Scorpio. Because from my understanding, the Africans didn't have the zodiac chart the way it is with Scorpios and Virgos and Cancers and Pisces. Am I correct?
Well, see, that's the thing.
Because my thing is called African geomancy. They did it with geomancy.
But that's the thing, okay? You have to find someone who can take it back to the original. Right now, we working with what we got. And one thing you need to understand is that when the collective agrees on something, it manifests. Period. So it doesn't matter what they were doing back then. That's the more accurate science. But just like with this 13th sign, if the masses accept it, it's going to become the reality, period. So it's not to say that because this is not what was originated in Africa, it doesn't work, because it still works. It's just not the original. It's not the more potent.
What I'm saying is this, sister. If we're dealing with the original, none of us are Scorpios, none of us are Cancers, none of us are any of these things if we're dealing with the original. Am I correct? That's what I'm asking you.
I think I got a clip that's going to explain.
What do you mean by we're not Scorpio, we're not Cancer? What are you saying by that?
What I'm saying is this. From my understanding, what the Africans did was called African geomancy. The way they dealt with astrology was not the current zodiac chart is not Asiatic, it's not African, it's not black in origin. It's coming from the Caucasian. It's the Caucasian who looked at those stars and said, well, this just looks like a Scorpio to me, so I'm going to call it a Scorpio. This looks like a bull to me, so I'm going to call it Taurus the bull. But yet we're calling ourselves Tauruses, we're calling ourselves Virgos, we're calling ourselves Pisces. But this is based off the Western, the European man's view of the stars, not the original man's view of the stars. That's what I'm saying. So based off the original, we wouldn't be a Scorpio, regardless of the personality traits, still exist or not, we wouldn't be called that.
Okay, but my thing is,
so what would we be called?
You're talking about a name, okay? I have several different names, but that doesn't change who I am. My mother calls me my daughter. My sister calls me, I'm her sister. My children call me mother. They're all talking about the same person. It doesn't change who I am. It changes how they view me, but I'm still me. So you are saying, well, we wasn't calling it this and we wasn't calling it that, so it has another name. That's no different than speaking another language.
I'm asking you, sister, you're missing the point. I think you're being too defensive. Listen to me. You're being too defensive. I'm asking you, what was it called? You said you know a lot of the original things. So I said, since we were not these things,
I never said I knew the original.
No, that's what I asked.
I never said I knew the original. I said I don't subscribe to what the white man say. I may read his books to study up on stuff, but I said I study ancestral astrology as far as I take any knowledge, and that is even outside of astrology. I take it to my ancestors and say, okay, now what's the bullshit and what's the real?
Look, do I believe in God? Yeah, I guess I do. How else can you have the sun, the moon, and the stars and shit like that?
Sun, moon, stars, quasars, motherfuckers sound like airwood jets.
25 years of studying the planets, studying the stars, studying the positions of how the planets and stars move and spin and turn in the universe. I started out as
sun, moon, stars, quasars, motherfuckers sound like airwood jets.
Meteorites or things of that nature, and it's going to cause damage. So if Saturn was demolished, you know what I'm saying, for some reason, you saying we won't be able to concentrate?
Yeah,
you saying we won't be able to concentrate?
Indeed.
So if something happens to
concentration, the right food and oxygen, man.
Show you something.
Hold on, I want him to get into it. So if Mercury, did you say Mercury or Venus, which control us being able to feel touch? Which one did you say?
I said Venus has everything to do with the powers of the sense of touch. And if it was demolished, a lot of our feeling powers would diminish. Proof of this is here. You want me to show him proof? Between Mars and Saturn, between Mars and Jupiter is what they call an asteroid belt. At one time, that was a planet that was and it's been demolished. Now, a lot of that planet remains it's crumbled. It's a meteor field. And we know that it was at once one big clump, one big body, because it sits in one area in the solar system. And it continues to revolve. When that planet was present, we built pyramids and we built cities out of mountain ranges. But we don't do that anymore. And for the life of us, we don't know how we did it. Because that faculty, that energy, that planet channeled as an energy that gave us a mental faculty is no longer there. And it's no longer there in the concentration that it was. You see? It wasn't for Neptune.
I mean, that's not showing improvement, but that's peace.
Yeah. Do a little bit of research. That field of rocks that is now called meteors was once a planet. You see? Just like if the moon was demolished, then that 27 to 28 day cycle that a woman comes on her menstrual cycle would no longer exist. It would run amok. It would run amok because the moon's gravitational pull and its electromagnetic energy as it affects the earth would no longer be there. See? This is another reason which is way off topic, but it's another reason why I refute any idea that there are any Martians here. We lived on Mars. Mars has 2 moons. And those 2 moons will rip the womb of a woman apart. Woman's womb is regulated by the moon, not by.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Mars was once one of our moons.
Well, I don't see it like that, but that's not astrology either. That's cosmogony, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what most.
Let me ask you this, black man. What's the signs with Jupiter and all his moons, man? What's that supposed to symbolize, man?
At one time, Jupiter was a sun.
Oh, well?
Jupiter was a sun that had many planets. Jupiter burnt out and became a planet, and its planets became moons. And our sun.
Okay, let me ask you a question, brother. What kind of planet is Jupiter?
What do you mean, what kind? I don't know what you mean by that.
Do you know the types of planets that are within our solar system? Do you know the type of planets that are within our solar system?
I don't know how to answer that.
There's different types of planets within our solar system. Do you know that?
Indeed, there are different types, right? Yeah.
So what type of planet is Jupiter? I'm asking you.
To answer that question, I couldn't. I don't know if
I will tell you what it is. It's a gaseous planet. There's terrestrial planets, and then there's gaseous planets. Everything after Mars is a gaseous planet.
There is no planet in our solar system that doesn't have an atmosphere other than Mercury.
Listen to what I'm saying, brother. That's not what I'm talking about. I asked you what kind of planets do we have in our solar system. There's two types of planets. We have terrestrial planets, which Earth, Mars, and stuff is like that. Then we have gaseous planets. Everything after Mars is a gaseous planet. You said that it was a sun that burnt out. However, physics...
I don't really know if Jupiter has no terrain because no one has been there, Lord.
Listen, G. Physics can determine whether a planet is terrestrial or gaseous. What I'm trying to tell you is this: if a star burns out, do you know how a star burns out? Because if a star burns out, mathematically it can't exist as Jupiter. The sun is a star. The sun is a star.
Some stars nova and explode. Some stars burn out and implode.